Hello. Hi, I'm just going to chat for a minute because every time I start one of these, it says you're live and I start chatting and then it cuts off the start. So I'm just going to wait a moment. Thanks for coming today. I have Fig here. He's decided to join me, which is lovely because he spent the morning in bed. Because I don't know about you, but it's so cold here that we've all been struggling with the cold. Like I've just had to de-scarf myself because I thought I can't really sit here in a scarf and cardi. But I'm keeping the cardi, obviously. And Sparks, there's no way he would come out in this weather because we have to walk a little bit from the front door to the office and it's far too cold for him to step out the door. So he's warm and cozy in bed, but you have got Fig, so that's something. So hopefully it's working and you can hear me right. I'm using a new microphone, so if you suddenly realize you can't hear me, then please let me know. Otherwise, I will get started. So I have some questions here to begin with. I also am happy to answer any questions as we go because it's hard, isn't it, to find help for your cat sometimes. And working with a behaviourist is expensive and takes a lot of sorting out. There's vet referrals to sort out, and you might not need a behaviourist. You might just have the odd question that you want answered, or you just want to talk about your cat. I love talking about other people's cats. So that's what these sessions are for, really. It's just to make sure that behavioural help is here for everybody. And if you know anyone that needs a hand with their cat, please send them my way because I'm always happy to jump on here and talk through any questions that you might have. So I have a few questions, but do feel welcome to post as we go. I'll try and prioritise any questions that pop up because I realise you might not be here for the whole session. So I'll keep an eye on the comments. So my first question is from Jess, and it's about cat introductions. So I'll just read out the question. So she's put, I'm trying to do a slow introduction and I'm struggling to get one of them to turn up to the introduction gate. She's very shy and would prefer to stay in my bedroom, which is her territory, with 2 litters and food. She isn't very food or attention motivated and she is on a strict hydrolyzed diet, so treats aren't really an option. She has been vet checked and has chronic pancreatitis, so she has the occasional day off, which is good. Do you have any tips for how to make her feel more confident out of the bedroom? And just say thank you. So yeah, this is a really good question and something you never really anticipate when you Google how to introduce cats. It's like feed them at a barrier or help them to see each other through a barrier. So no one ever says what to do if your cat doesn't want to be there. So that's a really good question and something I do come across quite a lot. So you are doing the right thing in using a barrier because obviously that's a lot more controlled and you're able to physically stop one from running over and chasing the other. But the only thing they need to be able to do when you're using the barrier, the only criteria really is that they can see each other. We don't need them to be at the barrier and we don't need them, it's not an aim to move them closer and closer together. So I know that's advice is given all the time, like start even with their main meals. Sometimes it's just not what I would advise. It's advice to give them their main meals at the barrier, starting far apart and then moving them gradually closer and closer until they're this close eating. So I don't find that to be useful because I find that this being this close, no cats are ever happy with that normally. So you make really good progress with them here. And then as you're moving forward, they suddenly start thinking, oh, I was fine when I was there, but I don't want to be this close. This is too close. So is there a way where you can set up the meetings so that she can see the other cat, but isn't necessarily at the barrier? So one way you could do it is to move the introduction barrier up to her bedroom door. So be careful of this because we don't want her to feel like suddenly her safe space is invaded by another cat. But we also do need her to get used to the idea that there's another cat here now and they will be sharing that territory. Like the end game, hopefully, presumably, is for them all to be sharing the house together, all rooms. So it is good to get her used to the idea that there are other cats here or another cat joining the household. So if you are to move the introduction barrier onto her door, then she can stay in her safe place. She can hide up on the top of the cat tree or on the bed or wherever it is that she feels most comfortable. And then you can use your lures or other sort of enticing things to get the new cat to come to the barrier. So she stays as far from the barrier as she wants, as long as she can see. And then he can come right up to the barrier. I presume it's a he, the other cat, I don't know why. But if he comes and approaches the barrier, then she can still see him And she's feeling really good about that because she'll be safe, she'll be confident, she'll be thinking, okay, I mean, there's another cat there. I'm maybe not too happy about that, but I'm not expected to do anything. I'm not expected to go to the barrier. I'm not expected to go and hang out with this cat. I just have to get used to the idea that he's here. So I think that setup would work pretty well because you have that barrier up, and there's no risk of the new cat wandering in and sort of getting into her space and annoying her. So you could try that. If you are worried that if you think that won't even happen, or if you have two cats that are really not interested in each other, so it does depend on the temperament of both cats. So one cat's more shy and probably wants to stay away from the new cat. If your new cat is like that as well and is like, no, I'm happy to be here in this house, but I don't want anything to do with that other cat, then that's fine. You might consider supervising them while they're in the room together. So you might have your shy cat on the bed or up high, or hanging out in her own space, and then you could come and sit on the floor. The new cat could come in, you could spend a bit of time with them, and then you could take them back out again. So what we want to avoid here is the new cat going like, oh, I know the other cat's up here, I'm going to go and chase her out. So you need to make sure you have 100% control of that cat, the new cat. So again, it depends on his temperament. Like if he's super confident, if he's super boisterous, that would be much more difficult. But if he's easygoing and not interested in her, then that's much more easy. And he might just think, oh, you're giving me treats, you're sitting, I want to sit on your lap, or I want to hang out with you. Then you could try something like that. So you haven't got the barrier there, but it's still super controlled. And again, the pressure's off your existing cat. One last thing I thought might be useful is, because I know you've put any tips to help her feel more confident out of the bedroom. So this is more tricky, and what I tend to find is that when I talk about territory and helping cats feel safe, is making sure there's plenty of resources to go around. So obviously she has her food and water, and the litter tray's in the room, and she presumably has her favorite places to sleep there as well. So what you can do is gradually sort of expand this out from that room. So it's all very well having the exact same stuff downstairs in your living room, but how does she make the journey there? The journey itself might be stressful. So I would just maybe either bring some of her things out a little bit, or even better, double up on what she has already and then bring those out. So she still has her safe space in the bedroom, but her belongings are starting to then move out into the rest of the territory. So her territory is expanding rather than her having to leave her territory and go into a new part of the home, or a part of the home that she doesn't really spend much time. That's a much more slower process, but it is still good. If you want to encourage her to spend more time down with you and your other cats, then that would be helpful. But you wouldn't want to be introducing her to the other cat while she's doing this, because she'll need to have a little burst of confidence to make that step to be like, I'm going to leave this room and go out into the house. That's really not the best frame of mind for her to be meeting another cat. We want her to be confident, we want her to be safe, we want her to feel super happy. So I would suggest moving the meetings up to her safe space rather than like encouraging her out and then doing meetings. Or if you did that second one, it would just take a lot longer. Hopefully that's helpful. Sorry, that took 7 minutes to answer that. I hope that's not too waffly, but let me know if you have any other questions or follow-ups about that, because I'll be happy to help. It sounds like you're doing really well though, because it is really hard to introduce cats. So hopefully it's going okay. Next question was from Karen, and she's asked, when two cats live in the same house, is there always a top cat, a dominant one? I have two ladies who mostly tolerate each other well, but I couldn't say for sure if one is more dominant than the other. What would be the signs of one being dominant? So the easy answer to this question is no. So in some cases, some houses, the cats, they don't really care about each other. They just live their own lives. I would say probably like housemates rather than family. And they just keep to themselves. And there's no real drama between them. You don't really get a top cat or not. And that's fine. Those cats are both super happy. So there's no pressure to make them get on like family. There are cats where there are times when, in most cases, I'd say, you do have a difference in the behavior of the cat that can look like dominance very obviously. This is the long-winded answer, but I would argue that it's not dominance that we're looking at. So with my two cats, Fig and Sparks, they are both 16 this year, and we got them both as kittens, and They never fight, there's no drama, they get on really well, they're all snuggling up together and it's lovely. But I do notice sometimes some things that you might consider to be dominant. So when I find them snuggled up together, it's always Sparks that goes and snuggles up with Fig, not the other way around. So it's as if Sparks is like coming over and is snuggling up next to him and it's like, I'm going to sit here. Sometimes he'll sit on him. And I could see why someone might think that he is the more dominant of the two. But what I tend to put this down to, and it seems to relate to every pairing or group of cats, is it's more to do with confidence rather than dominance. So when you have a true dominant relationship, normally if it's dominance and submissive, then everyone's okay with this. Everyone's like, you're the dominant animal and I'm the submissive one, and that's fine. Let's just go along with that. Whereas with cats, if you feel like you've got this relationship on your hands, what you'll probably find is that the submissive cat is not happy about this. They would prefer to have this whole territory to themselves. And for the most part, the dominant cat won't be happy with it either. They would also want the territory to themselves. So it's not the fact that they want to control the other cat. They want to be the top cat in the house and they want to have all the other cats sort of underneath them. It's more the fact that they're all trying to maintain this territory to themselves and they're just trying to make it work. So it's difficult with cats because they're not like biologically social, i.e. they've sort of been descended from a solitary cat and only now they're having to live with us in groups in our houses. When you look at groups of cats now, they don't have like a dominant and submissive hierarchy, even naturally. So even if you find a group of cats that are living happily together on a farm or in the woods or wherever you might find them, there's not one cat that's the dominant cat. Every cat is looking out for themselves. They're all going out and hunting on their own. They're not bringing food back to share that. And a good relationship, a good group of cats will be cooperating with each other. They'll be helping each other when it comes to rearing kittens and sharing beds. And they will only do that if the circumstances are right. So if there's enough food to go around, if there are enough beds and resting areas and safe spaces for them to rest in. So if there's not enough of that stuff to go around, then they'll disband. There won't be like a fight for that top bed or that favorite place. So when we now put them in our homes, you might see those sorts of behaviors because it's the only option. They don't really have an option to go and find another bed in another part of the woods or wherever they might be. So it becomes tense and it becomes a fact that they want that bed to themselves. It's not that they want to control that bed and the other cat not to be there. It's that they want the territory to themselves. So that's a very long-winded answer too. But I wouldn't worry about trying to find the dominant one. If you have to and you're worried that or you see that there's no real dominant one, I'd say that's perfect. It's not great to see behaviors that look dominant because it's a sign that one or both cats aren't happy. So the signs that you might see is like blocking access to territory. So sitting on the stairs so that the other cat can't pass by, and watching one cat hang back and be like, oh, I really want to go upstairs, but I don't want to pass that other cat. So that's often considered to be a dominant behavior. Driving them out of some parts of the territory. So if one cat sat at the top of the cat tree, the other one jumps up and sort of pushes them out, then that can be considered dominant too. And chasing, just like that relentless chasing, or some people say like, oh, they'll share bowls and the other cat will just sit back and let that happen. Whereas I think the other cat is probably sat back thinking, oh, you're eating my food and I want that food, but I'm not going to try and push you out because I'm going to get chased or I'm going to get swiped at. So it's important to really understand what's happening in these sorts of scenarios because it's not good. It's not like I've got a happy, harmonious household with a dominant cat and a submissive cat and that's working great. What we've got here is tension and conflict and just an environment that we don't really want to facilitate. And both cats would probably be happier if the other cat was gone. So please don't worry. It sounds like you've got a great pairing on your hands and you're doing all the right things. So my next question is from Vanessa and it says, why does my indoor allergy/stressed girl cat lick me so much, and now also does it when she's sitting on me before going to her dry food? My indoor boy cat will also come and get me and show me to his filled dry bowl before he'll eat sometimes too. So there's a couple of different things there. So licking, There's a few different reasons for that. So it can be that they're trying to share scent. So that's a good thing in that cats are very heavily scent orientated. So they, more than anything else, I'd say, more than like looking at you and being like, oh, you're my owner, what would be more reassuring for them is you smell like my owner. I know you because you smell right, you smell comfortable, you're someone I've known all my life. So they'll be leaving their scent behind. Like Fig's on my lap right now, he'll be leaving his scent behind on me, which is lovely. So hopefully we'll have a nice group scent that everybody knows, all the cats are happy with. It's obviously going totally over my head because we can't pick up on that. But licking could be part of that as well. So there could be that element to it. But that could have been just like the start of it. That could be the reason why it first happened. And then from there, then it's changed into a different behavior. So we might reinforce it. And I absolutely reinforce it when my cat licks me. So I'm like, oh, you've licked me. That's so sweet. You've given me a kiss. And I give them a stroke and I talk to them and I look at them and I orientate myself towards him. And all this stuff is reinforcing. And the cats love it if they're sociable and that's what they're after. So maybe have a think about how you're reacting to her licking, because it might be that it started as something like scent marking or a comforting behavior. You know, when they sit and groom each other, they're normally comfortable, they're normally relaxed. And when they groom themselves, they're normally comfortable and relaxed. So it could be that she's doing it because she is now feeling comfortable and relaxed on your lap or wherever she might be. But now it could be more of a learned behavior. So have a think. What else did I put about that on here? And oh yeah, just another thing, you might have something on your hands, which is silly, I know, but sometimes they just can smell things that we can't, and it might be that yeah, she's interested on what you might have on your hands, if you've been eating, or yeah, just something like that. So that's one reason. When cats accompany or lead you to the food bowl, then normally this again is like an attention-seeking behavior. So yes, there's a massive reinforcement of you potentially putting more food down, but I think they like having that your attention from that as well. Like it's even as little as looking up from your phone and looking towards them, or getting up from the sofa and being with them is just a nice way of them getting your attention, well, from their point of view at least. So that is something. But I would also have a look at the food bowl as well, because I often see that like meme or that stereotype that cats have where they'll eat the middle of, so their bowl of food, they'll eat the middle, and then there's food all around the edge, and then it's like, ha ha ha, your bowl's still full and you're asking for more food. But sometimes they find it quite difficult to get to those ones around the edge, particularly if the bowl has high sides. And if you think about their little noses, like they're having to get their nose on their tongue like right into the corners or the difficult part of the bowl. So sometimes it's more comfortable to eat from the pile in the middle rather than like around the edge. So if you're willing to top it up with more dry, or if you're putting an extra pouch down and it's easier for them to eat, then again, that's going to be another reinforcing behavior. And why would you worry about carefully trying to dig the biscuits out the side of the bowl when you could just have it topped up and eat comfortably from the middle? So that's one reason why it might happen. So have a look at your bowl, because maybe he might be happier eating from something like a plate, or in a different look, you could use a feeder or something that's a little bit easier for him to get the biscuits out of. I've also put here that they just have their quirks, don't they? They have their little characteristics. So if you've got an extra licky one, or one that likes to follow you to the kitchen or encourage you to follow them to the kitchen while they're meowing and being adorable, then that's just what you have. And yeah, I like those little quirks that they have. It's quite sweet, isn't it? It's what we remember the most. So another question here is from, I'm sorry, because you've asked questions before and I haven't ever gotten your actual name, Spiky Potato. So thank you for your questions. I'm sorry that I don't know your actual name. Has asked a couple of questions. So the first one is how do we see if cats play or if they're irritated by each other, and what do we do if it is irritation? So here it is, one of the most common questions I'm asked is how to tell if your cats are playing or fighting and getting annoyed by each other. So I would go into three different things here. So firstly, you can look at the cat's body language. So this is a really complicated bit. It's the most complicated thing because it's so subtle. Like the exact same body language with play can also be seen when they fight. So it's so frustrating because you're looking and the ears are back and the tail's swishing and they're biting each other's faces and they're kicking each other and you're thinking, no, this must this must be more than play. So, but then again, you'll see it with both. So there are a few different things you can look for to see whether it has moved on from play or they are getting irritated with each other. So any signs of like stress, so the little like swallowing lip licking that they do when the play is stopped, that's a sign of stress rather than play. So watch them, and when the play stopped, you'll sometimes see like a little like, ooh, and then I often see that and I think, oh look, that cat's getting cross or that cat's getting upset. So you can look out for that. And I would also look at their vocalizations as well. So normally playful cats will be quiet. There shouldn't be any hissing, any growling. There definitely shouldn't be any sort of really tense standoffs. So when you see cats that are fighting, it is tense. It's like you're nervous to walk near them because you think something's going to go down. So they'll be still, they'll be staring at each other. One might be yowling and it's like that really long, drawn out meow rather than like the cute little meows that you might see. And one cat might be moving in slow motion, which sounds silly, but often when cats are playing or when they're fighting, if there's a quick movement, that's when the chase happens or when it all hell breaks loose. So it's as soon as one like moves towards the other one, then they're like, blah, 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 and there's a massive like fight that way. So if one tries to run away, you can guarantee that it will be chased in that standoff situation. So they're nervous to get out of it, and they're gradually like walking in slow motion away to be like, oh God, I wish I hadn't got myself into this. I need to get out of it, but I can't run because I'll be chased. So they sort of creep away. If you're seeing that, then that's definitely a sign that I guess it's moved on past irritation. Like they're really unhappy with each other. So have a look at like the atmosphere of the interaction. Like, is it bouncy? Is it play? Is it floppy? Are they wiggly? Are they like springing from left to right and flopping around when they're doing roly-polies? Or are they super pouncing on each other? Are the claws out? Is it really hard swipes? And are you seeing more like tense, rigid cats that don't really know what to do themselves? Because that will help to give you an idea of whether it's play or not. I would also just give some thought to their relationship overall as well, because if you're seeing that sort of standoff behavior, then they shouldn't be getting along the rest of the time because they're clearly unhappy with each other. Same like if you see them play fighting and the rest of the time they're snuggling in the bed and they're hanging out together and there's no drama, there's no hissing, then you can be quite sure that that's not a fight because it's not consistent with the rest of their behavior. Obviously, like, there's exceptions, like if one of them's got scared by something and it's sort of redirected. Some cats, if they're looking out the window and they see a cat that they hate, that can be redirected onto another cat that's in the household. So there are those sorts of things to keep in mind. But day to day, generally, you should be seeing a consistent relationship where they generally get on and they're playful, or they generally don't get on and then it's more serious fighting. It's okay for cats to sometimes hiss. That's what I find with my two. Like they have a very good relationship. I've carefully watched over 16 years to be like, are you friends or are you not friends? And they do play, maybe not so much now, but they would play for quite a while and then one would hiss, and it's normally Fig to be like, oh, I've had enough of this now. And I used to be like, oh no, they're hissing, like they don't get on, they're not friends. And then I thought it's fine for Fig to just say like, I've had enough now. Like you're taking it too far. And Sparks has always been a little bit more playful than Fig in that respect. So that side of things is okay. And I would just be aware of that. If it always happens, and if you're always having to, if you're seeing that every single play session ends with a hiss, then I would advise stepping in before that happens to redirect them. So I would have to be like, oh, Sparks, come and play with me, come and play with this one toy. And I'd get his attention that way. And then that would mean that I'd stopped the play session before Fig's got overly annoyed by it. So that just helps to control that. But I don't really need to do that. Generally, it's okay. So what to do if it is irritation? So if they are annoyed by each other, if they're genuinely fighting, I would say really we want to figure out why that's happening. So I would have a look at the scenarios in which, like, where it's happening. Is it happening in a particular place? So a couple of common examples are around the food bowl. That's often a place where they can get irritated with each other. And it's often not even when the food is down. Like when the food's down, then they're eating and it's fine. And then they just go off. but it can be in the anticipation of food. So it's when you're sorting it out on the worktop, putting in the pouches, ready to put it down, the cats are at the bottom and they're rubbing up against each other in the wrong way, and one's hanging back and one's getting in there, and they might be getting on each other's nerves. And here is where you can see hissing or swiping. So in this situation, we want to really reduce that preparation time so that they're not doing all that sort of like waiting, both frustrated, being like, come on, will you just put it down, and not really in the best of mood to be around each other. So sometimes I've had to advise people to prepare the food away from the cats. So close yourself in the kitchen where the cats are in their bedrooms or doing whatever, and then only cool them down once it's down or once you're ready to put it on the floor, just to sort of reduce that anticipation period. Another common scenario is coming in the cat flap as well. So one cat will come in and then the other one will chase them as they come through, or maybe block them from coming in. So again, that will be a different sort of treatment because it's happening in that specific scenario. So here it would be useful to maybe put in a different cat flap in a different place, or open up another route outside. So it might be, if it's warm, that you open up the window or the doors and just give the cats a little bit more space to come in and out, because they can get scared of going through sometimes if they've been chased, or they can hang back and be like, I know I'm going to get chased when I go through there, so I'm not going to do that. So I think it's important to try to focus on the specific places in which it happens, to try to change that, and then that has a good knock-on for the rest of their relationship. Because especially with the food, say if they're fed twice a day, if there's tension every day, twice a day between those two cats only around the food bowl, then they're not really going to get on great the rest of the time, because consistently they're having these swipes, hisses, fights, whatever's happening. So if we can remove the aggression from that specific scenario, then their relationship the whole rest of the time should be better, because we've taken that out, and just like we're kickstarting things in a much better direction, because we're taking out all of that negative, and helping them get along a bit better. So again, like, have a look at your cats and see it. And there are loads of things you can do generally to help cats get along. So just as an easy one would be with resources. So the stuff that they use, like their food, water, scratch post, beds, trays, everything, is to have one for each cat plus another one, and all spread separately throughout the territory as well. So that just relieves any pressure over the territory and helps them share the space a lot better, helps them ignore each other if they want and keep out of each other's way, but have that option to be together if they want to. So that really works well. It seems backwards, doesn't it? Because it's like, if you want your cats to be friends, you must help them stay apart, rather than forcing them to be together, because they have to feel like they're in control, like it's their decision, and they have the option to be together, they have the option to be apart. So if you want your cats to be friends, then encourage them to be apart, and then let them come together on their own terms, because that will go a lot more successfully. Okay, so my last question is such a lovely question, and I love it, and it is what to play with an arthritic kitty. That's from Spiky Potato too, which is great, because I'm just going to presume that he or she is an older cat, and it's so nice to think that you still want to play with them and haven't just thought, oh, they're old now, they don't really want to play. So that is really important. And it is a great question, because you can't play with them in the same sort of way. And particularly for me, as a behaviourist, sometimes I feel like, if a cat is being aggressive, or you're seeing like predatory aggression towards somebody, then playing with them is a great idea, but not if they've got arthritis, because my advice will make that cat's physical illness worse. So it's really important to know how to adapt things for the specific cat you're working with. So it sounds like you've really thought about that. So that's really good to see. So what I would advise here is to appeal to all the senses. So it's tricky because cats, when they're playing, we entice them with movement mainly. Sorry. So I'm always saying, like, get the toys moving and get them running around and really use all their energy. So really, with an arthritic cat, we need to put that aside and focus more on like the quieter moments of the play session, because they're really good as well. So when a cat is watching, when they're stalking, when they're just crouching and watching something happen, or if they're just pawing, then that's still as fun as running and chasing everything around. And so I would focus on encouraging just that sort of behavior. So So, like I say, appeal to all the senses. So you could use toys that have a different scent. So obviously, catnip is one, but there are plenty of different smells or scents that appeal to cats, like silvervine or valerian. And you can just give that a Google, and you can buy toys that are infused with these different smells, or you can buy the scents and then you can use them with your own toys to sort of give them that extra stimulation. So that can really be helpful. Some cats respond differently to different ones, so you might need a little bit of trial and error to find what works best, and that's the same for cats. Some cats don't respond to catnip at all, do they? So it can be useful to try something different for all cats, just to get them more motivated to play and more interested in the toys. So that can help. You can try using toys that make noises. So I like the little squeaky toys, and they've got, I wish I had one here, but like you can shake them and they just go like squeak, 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 squeak. It's like the little quiet squeaks. I really like those because they're not too overwhelming. Like they're not too noisy and they're not probably going to spook your cat, but it's nice, isn't it? It's sort of, I'm sure they're not fooled by it actually being prey, but it sort of sounds like a prey noise, doesn't it? So something like that. But you can use little bells. I would just be careful of the little holes so that they don't stick their claws in the little holes. And the smaller ones are better because the bigger ones can be quite like startling, can't they? So little things like that can be useful. You could try using food toys, so like little feeders that you could put some food in and then your cat can just play with them on their own. Again, you'll need to give some thought as to what's best for that cat, because you don't want anything too active or too difficult for them because they're going to have to use their paws to get it out. So I just like a food ball because normally they have, so it's just a ball with, you can fill it with dry food or treats, and sometimes they have different size holes. So if you put it on the biggest hole so that the food can just roll out, then it doesn't take much for them to bat it around or them to nuzzle it and then the food comes out. So it can be quite a gentle game for them to play, but then they're being rewarded as they go because they're getting their food from that as well. I also thought about cat TV as well. There's some cats are into it, some cats not so much, but there are things you can put on for them to watch. And again, this comes with like all sorts of noises, like if it's a bird watch channel, or there's lots of things on YouTube that are just for cats for them to watch and for them to sort of get stimulation from. Just be wary that you don't have a super frustrated cat that's looking for this bird or this something to try to catch them, going behind the TV, trying to think like, well, where is it? How can I get it? Because that can be that can do more harm than good sometimes. Or you could just use your window as well. So on the windowsill, put a bird feeder on the other side and fill it with birdseed, and then let the things come to you so that your cat can sit and watch and hang out from their bed or from a comfortable place up on the windowsill and things. So that can be helpful. And you can also play with them too, just using sort of more gentle toys. So I was just like a feather. I was just like wiggling a feather in front of them so that they can watch that moving and they can like paw at it if they want to, but we're not really encouraging them to go running around. So I think I would just scale everything down and remember that even just watching is as fun as the chase. I'm not going to be using as much energy, but I don't think, if it is an older cat, I don't think that is your aim. I think it's more like mental stimulation and that just quality of life that they still have, rather than if it was a kitten trying to sort of use up all that energy or get them stimulated. Otherwise, you're going to have problems on your hands. It feels like you've just got your cat's welfare at heart, which is lovely. So hopefully that's been helpful, but do again let me know if you have any follow-up questions, and please let me know your name because I feel like I would like to know that. Okay, I think that is all the questions I had. I've just had a memory of one other one coming in. I'm gonna have to dig it out. Hang on, just bear with me a sec because I'm sure it came through today. So it is here. Sorry. Oh no, is it here? So if I just try to remember, it was that their cat had been keeping them awake at night, scratching to get out. I think that's what they were saying, scratching to get out. And I replied, it was just an email. I've replied to the email, but I did think it was an interesting one to talk about on here as well, because I don't know anything about this cat. And it was only an initial inquiry, but the person had said she hasn't had any sleep for for ages. So the cat is scratching to get out. So when she said that, it just made me realize it's useful to talk through, because the cat is meowing at night for a something, and that something is being fulfilled, it seems. So if you have this scenario at yourself at night, so if your cat is scratching for a reason, whether it's to be fed, whether it's to go outside, I don't know whether the cat was scratching to get out of the bedroom or to get out of the house, but it's, as long as you do that thing, then the problem will never improve. So depending on what the problem is, I would say we need to find an alternative for that. So if it's a cat that wants to go outside, then we could think about microchip cat flaps, because they have little timers on that you can open from your phone now, which is amazing. So when you hear her scratching down there, you can go boop, okay, you can go out, rather than you having to get up, go downstairs, open the door for her, because that will be a massive reward, because she'll have your attention. She's got you up out of bed, and yeah, then like I say, it will never improve. Likewise, if they're waking you for food and you fed her because, God, you need to get back to bed, I get that, because everyone's done the same thing, then again, this is never going to improve, because why would it? And often what I find is that people say that they have tried ignoring, and then, but it's got too much, like the meowing's got much, much worse. So then they've thought, oh, fine, it's been 2 hours, fine, I'll feed you. So all we've done there is trained that cat to meow now for 2 hours rather than 10 minutes, or rather than 1 hour, or whatever they were doing previously. So what I would say about this is it's really important to sort the initial issue. So make sure they're not hungry, make sure they're not trying to get out, or work around that physically, and then we must ignore them. But I've sort of moved on from the ignoring, because I feel like it's mean, isn't it? To be like, if you've got to the point where your cat is now just after your attention, and you're suddenly like, you get nothing from me, then I imagine that that's probably going to induce some sort of anxiety, definitely frustration. So now I tend to say to people, like, stay in bed, talk to them, reassure them, come and like get them to settle in under the covers or whatever it is they do, and give them that attention, but don't get up. That's like my new rule, because getting out of bed, like I say, is just such a massive shift in what they get from you. So I have to do this for Sparks, because he does meow overnight. I mean, he only meows for a couple of minutes, but I'm worried he's going to wake up the children. So I call him over, he gets settled in the bed, and I think he does it because he's chilly. And so then he's fine and he settles down for the night. So hopefully that will be helpful. But I just wanted to flag that, because it's just such a common problem, and it was just such a straightforward question that came through today. I thought I'd answer. But yeah, as long as there's a good outcome for your cat waking you, whether it's letting them out or do whatever, then it won't improve. So have a think about what their experience is overnight, what they're getting from you from the waking, and how you can work around it without really inducing lots of frustration or anxiety. And hopefully that will help. But yeah, so many people have that problem, don't they? And me included. And it's just horrible. And I've had people that haven't had any sleep, and they've got children, and it's causing tension in their marriage, and sleep deprivation is not fun. So I'm here to help on that one if needs be as well. Okay, that is definitely all my questions. So thank you very much for listening. I can see a couple of people who have been here throughout, so thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to help with any questions that you might have. If you have any questions after today, or any burning questions going forward, please do drop them into the comments, or comment on any of my other videos, and I'll be happy to move it on to my next live and we can chat through it then. But I wish you all a lovely day. Please keep warm, and I will see you another day for a different video. Take care. Bye.